Immortalis Dominum might not be our first introduction to the upcoming record. In preparation to this, we have witnessed, together perhaps, maybe the encounters are fairly recent after all, tracks 2 and 5, I believe. Patient Zero and Danger Danger in order of single publication reverse order for album track listing. But now with this song, we have the official designated opener for, and I love this, Hey Living People. And I think a lot of us were on the same page, right? I was kind of guessing as much. 3 singles in, it's par for the course of maybe an album unveiling, and that's what we got today, the upcoming announcement. I was in stitches the minute that popped up. If you're familiar with Dominum, you get why. There's some real synergy between image and title there. But maybe you're not, and this will be your first footing into what I am going to say is a well-established group at this point. Establishing, perhaps, but believably adept, and that is to be expected with the European rock and metal market. I've said it many times. I'm in a deep infatuation with that music space in the world for good reason. And with Dominum being of, I believe, German origin, I might have that wrong. Feel free to clarify down below if that is the case. I'm pretty sure, though, I'm right. And of a fun hybrid between power metal and what I would call horror metal and aesthetics, which is a rarity in my playlist, but a fun first introduction with beautiful storytelling aesthetics. I have really taken a liking to this group. I've given the 2 first numbers frequent replays. Danger Danger and Patient Zero are some of my favorite songs. Really delivered for me. So obviously a 3rd single, I'm like, yes, gimme, gimme. I love the evolution of Dominum for Hey Living People. I still can't get enough of that title. It totally works. But if you've not yet been introduced, I think you're going to have a fun time. I mean, again, fairly recent unveiling, but one of real strength that I've taken a liking to. I know many others have as well, an emerging group, but there's a special place in my heart for maybe lesser known talents. Ones that undoubtedly are building out quite a future, and I think Dominum has great prospects ahead of them. I'm sure many of you would agree, especially as of our witness together. Believably, there's not been one song or artist at this point I've recognized that I have not loved covering or bringing into my life and my library. I absolutely love music. I've said many times, first love among the artistic languages has been for many years, and I do feel it enriches the process of musical enjoyment to take it beyond the stage of isolation and provide collaborative roots, especially when we approach from a mixture of angles. And I do hope this is the case, that perhaps a pitching of roots can be instilled, right? For any new listeners, or just shopping around for some good bands that you have not come across yet. Dominum, perhaps this will be a fun introduction for you. It was for me 2 numbers ago. I've had a great time. I love covering their work. How could I skip this one? Immortalis Dominum, and again, the evolution to Hey Living People. But let's clue into this piece. Again, I'm more than happy to engage with it. I've loved being able to spotlight Dominum. Fun first introduction. I hope you have a fun time too with this one. And after this, you have the credit of then acknowledging that you're an informed Dominum listener. I would recommend those first 2 pieces, of course, to better engage you and give you a full perspective, but you'll have a good first stepping, I think. Again, independent character among my European library, metal library speaking generally. Fun characterization, though, again, on the horror focus, even of character titles, Dr. Dead and the rest of the company. I love it. Group with style and unique flair, but beautiful music execution. I think you're going to be in for a real fun time. I know I am, just on prospects. So let's welcome this one fully. Oh, I love it already. The age is an incredible introduction.
Is a curse. When I started out, had it in my blood, but the road got dark and I soon got stuck down the line.
The tone is majestic. And we've expanded to a new location choice too, beyond the... Oh, I'm in love. Some real growth on this one. An expansion too in the power metal field. Dominant heavy edge. Oh, the synth solo. Incredibly inviting. Again, a pleasant dating. And the personalities you watch the video too, it just perfectly meshes with you. Connects as a work of art. Fully. It's such a balanced number. Two distinct metal styles blended perfectly. Just the edge really gives this one a nice independence. But each style is again perfectly defined. Do you want that power root or power metal root? You've got it. And again, with the synth design specifically, that's been persistent over the last couple of numbers. Adjacency to some other groups, but again, with the horror intermixing the Alvis aggressive root, with this number in particular, takes on a different shade.
You are made of skulls, I am made of steel. When you close your eyes, I can make you feel immortalized. Just like me. Burn it down, now I got it serious.
And the transitions too are highly effective on a lot of their numbers. The isolated vocals, real charm point on this one. And the builds are a thing of beauty, aren't they? Listen to the progressions of those verses. They consider this last chorus refrain. It's so special. I have said many times that the artists I listen to, right? It's part of the reason I push so hard in the metal space. Again, I've been a metalhead of a number of years. But to cover music with you, again, allow for an environment of approach for any knowledgeable listener within metal, right? Longtime fan or maybe new listener, and introducing yourself to the graces of particular groups. I suspect, again, some of you have listened to Dominum before coming into this. Maybe some of you, though, don't. It is my hope that there's a diversity in how we approach. I want to provide a space here, again, that we have a common interest, just on good art in general, but in terms of metal, beautiful craftsmanship and execution, the independency that I witness in particular of smaller names, and this is a routine remark, even outside of the borders of Europe, right? Certainly in that landscape, yes, but as I've said, I have a special place in my heart for emerging artists of a smaller name presence with a lot of potential, because you oftentimes see these independent types of artistic signatures, and I really do with Dominum. These numbers, every time, and I say this commonly with metal in general, so many pieces I've recognized here, and again, not one song or one artist I've not loved. It's a gamble every single time, particularly, even though maybe I have my suspicions and ideas based on past familiarity and experience, and with Dominum, fittingly again, we took another gamble that's successful. I'm not surprised. But there's a real beauty, again, when I approach these numbers. It's a beauty, but it's also kind of a, I don't know. It's a beauty mixed with a subtle sorrow, and that I know when I listen to these pieces, I have no adjacency in my face-to-face life with anybody that I know. Metal interests just don't connect. There isn't any intersection on music tastes. Certainly in daily life, but in the space of how we all approach together as music connoisseurs, or just willing to experience good art in general, I would be open to anybody, even if you're not necessarily a metal and rock fan. You just want to humor good work, and to do so in the company of others who have a willing heart, right? Whether we're enthusiasts first or just open in general. And it does remind me of how much I want this content to serve as an inspiration, not just for myself and building out my own library. It's not, it might come across to some degree this way, and maybe it's a understandable remark, but it's not out of just selfish ambition I continue to peruse the music world and further build out my library. I want to provide routes for you to also find good artists. And Dominum, ever since, I had a feeling, just on original pitch, of a horror aesthetics type metal group, and I've been delighted every single time. Patient Zero, Danger Danger, 2 first wonderful installments. But I listen to a piece like this, and again, I'm not only reminded of a Dominum experience, but the progression and the evolution of this album. Just 3 numbers in, seeing each one independently stand out from another. Though we have maybe adjacent commonalities and threads that build from each piece, and there are extensions that unify them. I've seen this synth command before, and we have a distinctive power metal vision, right? Horror tone. Different location, though. And by the way, some beautiful scenic shots. And we have added a new character to the group, by the way, with this one. So now we have 4 victims under the influence of Dr. Dead. Poor woman. I love this group. Again, individual standing. But the musical execution, the synth orientation with this number, and the dated effects. Again, I got a bit of like an 80s edge vibe. And maybe there's some I've attributed some of these connections before, right? On voice, I consider other past groups I've experienced that might have a similar personality to them. Angus Mc6 comes to mind, right? You listen to the synths there, and you may sense a bit of a similarity. I'm not sure if that's explicitly what Dominum is going for. Perhaps it's an inspiration. I've heard Glory Hammer as well in reference. I have not yet looked at their music, and I need to. They're coming up. They're part of what I'm calling Phase 2, and what Dominum was a part of, or kind of what I retrofitted in. But a lot of groups are fitting into this window in terms of first trials, and many in the European window, not just Dominum. But I love taking first introduction journeys. You never know for certain sometimes, but you have a suspicion of what you find. And Dominum, man, I've loved these pieces. The edge though on this one, the interplay between power and heavy metal, and the real aggressive fretless chorus section, in particular that last chorus refrain, that entire end section, the isolated vocals from Dr. Dead, falling into, again, that intrusion on the music and the score, and then bringing in that metal guttural backbone. It's just such a nice command on this piece, and the tracking for it, incredibly even, natural, steady flow, but just a fun, throttle journey. I absolutely love it. Out of the, again, I hate to rank things, but we'll say this, because I've loved Patient Zero and Danger Danger, again, on many replays. Immortalis Dominum is going to fit in really well. And I won't speak for anybody, but I imagine many of us would concur, right? However, we're informed on the Dominum presence. Maybe some of you, again, are knowledgeable listeners at this point, like myself, just 2 tracks in. Maybe some of you, though, fresh initiates, where I was back with Patient Zero, right? That was the first taste, and ever since, I've been a fan. I would recommend those first 2 pieces, and I hope it's provided a probing of interest for you. I'd love to hear if that is the case down below of Immortalis Dominum. It's a strong number. Again, characterization. Dominum has a real charm to them, right? And I'm sure this will be seen and witnessed over the entirety of Hey Living People. You can't get enough of it, but that's the initiator number. And if I would consider as well, if we weren't listening to this now, right, for a new listener who decides, I'm just going to challenge myself and humor Dominum when the full album unveils. I don't know what the release date is in the moment. That escapes me. Hopefully soon. You consider their standing, right? And let's say they're a metal fan and they're ready for something new. They've never heard a Dominum piece before. I think Immortalis Dominum would pave as a first good taste, and Danger Danger follows this in close succession, right? It's the next track. Great build so far in Origin, believably of Dominum. I love this group, though, again, on independent styling, but musically speaking, they are of such interest to me. I love the metal application here. Every trait to it. You consider how wide of a field Dominum casts in terms of atmosphere within their music, really scenic pictures. Even on initial experience reflection, I am incredibly moved by that. Metal styling, to me, the tailoring here is just perfection. Instant click with me in terms of aggressive metal favorability, though I keep an open door here to any voice, right? Even outside metal sometimes, depending on the particular artist and band, there might be exceptions when warranted. But I do have a love for metal. I just see so much strength in this particular landscape of music. I always have. And you see why with Dominum if you've never been introduced before. And I hope for those of you that this is very much a first footing, maybe even to the European scene, I recommend you dig deeper. It won't be that hard of Dominum, I'm sure. That piece, I think, is a great initiator for you to continue down, not only the Dominum route, but the European metal route. And trust me, as stated, I speak of this musical environment with good reason, in such glowing terms. Let Immortalis Dominum and Dominum more specifically serve as an example. It's a real beautiful piece. I immediately want to go back and rehear it. To be expected of Dominum, but I'm pleased every time. I'm looking forward to more. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.